Someone you will never see again just looked at you. Maybe they smirked, maybe they glanced at your shoes, maybe they said nothing at all and just looked away too fast. And somehow, hours later, you are still thinking about it. You do not know their name. You will never cross paths again. And yet something inside you will not let it go. That is not weakness. That is 200,000 years of survival code running inside your skull. The real answer to why that stranger's opinion still stings is far stranger than you think. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem is that it was built for a world that no longer exists. Psychologist Mark Leary at Duke University spent decades studying what he calls the sociometer, an internal gauge your brain runs continuously, measuring one thing and one thing only. How much do the people around you value you as a member of their group? Not how much you value yourself, how much they do. And that gauge does not have an off switch. Think about where your ancestors lived. Not a house, not a city, a band, a group of roughly 50 to 150 people wandering, hunting, surviving together. In that world, being ejected from the group was not embarrassing. It was a death sentence. Alone, you could not hunt large prey. You could not protect yourself through a night with no fire. You could not raise children. You could not survive a single bad season. Rejection was not metaphorically dangerous, it was literally, biologically, immediately lethal. So your brain evolved a system. It treats any signal of social rejection the same way it treats physical pain. Not metaphorically, neurologically. In 2003, researcher Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA ran a study using functional MRI scans. Participants played a simple virtual ball-tossing game called Cyberball. Mid-game, the other players, who were actually a computer program, stopped throwing the ball to the participant. They were excluded, just from a video game, with strangers they had never met, whose faces they never saw. And their brains lit up in the anterior cingulate cortex, the exact same region that activates when you feel physical pain. Exclusion and a punch to the stomach look identical in a brain scan. That is what a stranger's smirk is doing to you. Your sociometer registered a signal, a possible downgrade, a flicker of rejection, and your ancient alarm system did what it always does. It fired. But here is the part that makes it stranger. Your brain does not distinguish between the people who matter to your survival and the ones who do not. It never learned that distinction, because for nearly all of human history, every person you encountered was someone who could affect your survival. There were no strangers in the way we understand strangers today. Every face you saw belonged to your world. A traveler from another band was either a potential threat or a potential ally. Their opinion of you mattered. So your brain built no filter for relevance. You are running that same filterless system at the airport, on the subway, in a parking lot. Your brain sees a human face register something negative, and it treats that signal as survival critical, regardless of whether that person will ever affect your life in any measurable way. Psychologist Roy Baumeister, who has studied social exclusion extensively, describes it this way. The need to belong is not a preference. It is a fundamental human motivation as powerful as hunger or thirst. When that need is threatened, even partially, even symbolically, the brain responds with urgency. Not because something catastrophic has happened, but because for nearly the entire history of your species, any crack in your social standing was the beginning of a catastrophic chain. So your brain learned to panic early, to catch it before it spread. And here is the cruel design. It is not only pain that keeps you vigilant, it is also hope. The same system that makes you sting from rejection also makes you hunger for approval. Neuroscientist Gregory Burns at Emory University found that positive social feedback activates the brain's reward circuitry at the same intensity as food or money. A nod of approval from someone you respect releases dopamine. A laugh at your joke triggers the same neural pathway as a small financial win. Your brain is not just defending against social loss, it is actively chasing social gain, every moment, with everyone. And now think about the world you actually live in. You are not in a band of 150 people. You are connected to thousands. You walk through cities full of faces. You sit in rooms with strangers. You move through spaces where every person around you is technically running the same ancient evaluation system, scanning for signals, logging micro-expressions, filing away quick judgments, and your brain knows that. Even when you consciously tell yourself it does not matter, your sociometer is already running its calculation. What makes this even harder to override is how the system handles ambiguity. Researcher Jason Mitchell at Harvard has shown that the brain's default mode network, the system that activates when you are not focused on a specific task, is heavily oriented toward thinking about other people. When your mind wanders, it does not wander toward abstract concepts or personal goals. It wanders toward social scenarios. It replays conversations. It rehearses future interactions. It imagines what other people are thinking about you. This is not distraction. This is your brain doing exactly what it evolved to do, maintaining your social map, looking for threats, running simulations to keep you safe in the group. The stranger who barely glanced at you is now a character in your mental simulation. Your brain has cast them in a story about your place in the world. It does not need to know them. It only needs to have registered a signal. Here is a truth that changes how you see this. The people who seem least affected by others' opinions are not people without sociometers. There is no such person. What they have is a differently calibrated system, one trained over time to weight certain signals more heavily than others, and to recognize the ancient mismatch between the system and the world. It is not that they do not feel the sting. It is that they have learned, through repetition and reflection, to pause before the sting becomes a spiral. Because here is what your ancestors never had to do. Evaluate the relevance of every person who gave them a look. In the band, everyone was relevant. That shortcut worked perfectly. But you live in a world of millions, and your brain is still applying the 150-person rule to all of them. That person at the coffee shop who did not smile back, your sociometer failed it. The colleague who went quiet when you entered the room, your brain flagged it. The comment section on a video that no one you know will ever read, your ancient alarm system treats every negative reply the same way it would treat a band elder publicly doubting your worth. The platform is new, the wiring is not, and so you carry it, not because you are too sensitive, not because you have failed to grow thick skin, but because your brain is doing its oldest job with the diligence of something that has been doing that job for 200,000 years. It is thorough, it is indiscriminate, it is trying to keep you alive in a world it was never designed for. The sociometer does not know that the person who rolled their eyes at you in traffic will never speak to you again. It only knows that a human signaled a downgrade, and that in the world your brain was built for, that mattered enormously. The next time a stranger's glance lodges itself in your mind and will not leave, you will know what is happening. Your ancient system is doing its job. It logged a signal. It fired the alarm. It is waiting for you to act, to repair, to defend your place in a group that no longer exists in the way it once did, and you will feel the full weight of that 200,000-year-old urgency in your chest over someone you will never see again. That is not a flaw in your design, that is the design. Working exactly as intended, just in the wrong century.